Welcome to Crisis in Perception, where we examine the systems shaping our world, one book at a time. So today, we're diving into Jared Diamond's The Third Chimpanzee, a book that explores how our deep evolutionary and cultural systems really shape our behavior on a massive scale. And it gets at this fundamental puzzle. How did we, as a species, become capable of both building these incredible civilizations and, at the same time, causing total collapse? Let's break it down.
So, Diamond kicks things off with this central paradox. Despite all our fancy technology and culture, if some alien scientists were to visit Earth, they'd probably take one look at us and classify humans as, well, just a third species of chimpanzee. The physical similarities are just undeniable.
And this isn't just bone deep. Get this, we share more than 98% of our genetic makeup with our chimp cousins. Now just think about that for a second. It means that a tiny genetic difference, less than 2%, has to explain everything that separates us. Language, art, agriculture, the internet, the whole shebang. It's a pretty staggering thought.
Okay, so how on earth does that happen? How does this tiny genetic gap lead to such a massive, massive chasm in what we can do? Well, Diamond argues it wasn't a slow, gradual change. It was a sudden, revolutionary event, and it was less of a biological hardware upgrade and more of a cultural software one.
I mean, for millions of years, human progress was just glacial, incredibly slow. Even the Neanderthals, who had brains nearly our size, used the same simple tools for ages and ages. But then, around 60,000 years ago, something just clicked. Suddenly, we see this explosion of art, complex tools, and culture. This was the great leap forward.
So what was this software upgrade? Well, the most likely candidate is the development of complex spoken language. Diamond's quote here really nails it. Language allows for a whole new level of planning and cooperation. It let us share complicated ideas, plan for the future, and pass knowledge down through generations. It was a true game changer.
And with this new software humming along, we eventually developed agriculture. Now, we tend to see this as the definitive step towards a better life, right? But Diamond wants us to reframe that. He sees it as a crucial, double-edged sword, a massive trade-off that, honestly, we are still living with today.
On the one hand, the promise was huge. Agriculture could support much larger populations and allow for people to become specialists, like artists or soldiers. But the price we paid was steep, really steep. We traded the varied, healthy diet of hunter-gatherers for starchy, less reliable crops. This led to new diseases, and for the first time, concepts like land ownership created deep social inequalities.
This new vulnerability is perfectly captured by the Irish potato famine. It is just a tragic example of agriculture's hidden curse. When a whole society depends on a single food source, and that crop fails, the result can be mass starvation, a risk our hunter-gatherer ancestors pretty much never had to face.
Okay, now this is where it gets really interesting. While our cultural software, our language, our agriculture, our technology was racing ahead, our biological hardware, our ancient, inherited instincts, that stayed largely unchanged. We are still running on a very old operating system.
And this ancient hardware has a couple of ghosts encoded in it, these deep, recurring patterns of behavior. The first is our tribal us versus them thinking, an instinct that, when you combine it with modern technology, can scale up to the horror of genocide. The second is our tendency to just exhaust our environment, to overshoot our resource base.
And you see this pattern of ecological collapse again and again throughout history. On Easter Island, a society famous for its massive statues completely deforested their home, which led to a collapse into warfare and cannibalism. And similarly, in Chaco Canyon, the advanced Anasazi civilization just mysteriously vanished after degrading their fragile environment.
Diamond uses these powerful examples to completely debunk the myth of a pre-industrial golden age. The idea that we once lived in perfect harmony with nature. It's a nice, nostalgic fantasy, but the evidence shows that environmental destruction has been a recurring human pattern for thousands of years.
All right, so what does this all mean for us today? This combination of fast-moving cultural software and this ancient, slow-moving biological hardware, what's the upshot?
Well, this brings us to a single, powerful image that can help us understand our entire human journey and the complex crises we face right now, from climate change to global conflict. So, the crucial point is this. Our culture, our technology, our entire global civilization, it's like a high-powered, world-changing engine. but it's being operated by the brain of a primate running on ancient wiring with instincts for tribalism and short-term survival.
This photo just captures that mismatch perfectly. The engine is capable of incredible things, crossing oceans, connecting worlds, but its primitive control system, our ancient instincts, makes it dangerously prone to catastrophic failure. We have the power to alter the entire planet, but the wisdom to manage that power is lagging far, far behind.
Ultimately, what Diamond helps us see is that modern crises aren't actually new problems. They're just the highest stakes expression of this fundamental mismatch. Our greatest strengths, our inventiveness and our ability to cooperate, are two sides of the same coin as our capacity for total self-destruction.
Realizing this completely changes how you view progress. It forces us to confront a final, deeply provocative question. If our rise is so tightly linked to our potential for ruin, what does it truly mean to be a successful species on this planet?
For the full, long-form deep dive into this book and its ideas, follow the link in the description. If you enjoy this kind of systems-level analysis, please like, subscribe, and comment with books or topics you'd like us to explore next.